with the millions.
It's that world heavyweight flow. Championship belt wrapped around my waist, yo. I got that Ric Flair figure flow. Slam you on the pavement, that's why they call me Street Pro. Create heat on beat flow. Like Jordan after the second time he three-peated, folks. Get ready, set, let's go. Fight toe to toe, release the flow created by this mic pro. Lights, cameras, get low. Action packed, back to back. In fact, this monster will grow. Y'all better let them know. Man with the master plan, and you have no need to know. You came prepared, now get ready for the show. Yo, what up, my friends? This is Omar, the Professor Fonseca from Ball and Bud Sports and Entertainment. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube at Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS, and as well, follow us on Instagram. We also on the IG, getting that up, putting all the pics and everything. You know what it be, Ball and Buds. I wanted to dress up a little nicely for you, going forward, trying to be a little more professional with my newscasting and news journalism and, coming off of an election. By the way, I hope everybody is doing well, no matter what side of the aisle you are on. I just hope that you are doing well today, and that you're whatever is going on with you, you are in the right headspace. And if you're not, do what you need to get there. But that's being said, today we are going to discuss a little bit about the election, the results, and also we will dive into some pop culture, world news, and sports headlines as well, per the usual. So this is episode number 3 of the Professor's Semanalmente. For you marks that don't know what that really means in English, that just means weekly. So be coming on weekly with my headlines and news for you as well. Cool? Awesome. All right. So before we jump into things, first of all, let's give a rest in peace to legendary music producer Quincy Jones. Obviously very influential in the music industry for 7 decades. Born in 1933 in Chicago's South Side, he collaborated with artists like Frank Sinatra, Leslie Gore. If you don't know who that is, go check out the song "You Don't Owe Me." Beautiful ballad. One of my favorites. Michael Jackson, MJ, one of my favorites. Again, no matter what you think about MJ, as I always say, his music moves my soul. Anyways, Quincy Jones was one of the most awarded figures in music history with 28 Grammys, an Emmy, a Tony, and an honorary Oscar. So that gave him the elite EGOT club, which is when you have one of each of those artistic trophies. He was also the producer of We Are the World. You remember that huge song, and also one of the biggest albums of all time. We talked about MJ, not Michael Jordan, by the way, for the sports fans watching, but Michael Jackson. I know he's been passed away for a little bit, but anyways, Michael Jackson's Thriller was produced by Quincy Jones as well. So that's pretty cool as well when you think about that. So anyways, just wanted to give a rest in peace to him. He died at 91 this past weekend. All right, well, let's dive into the news. First of all, obviously, the big news of this week, you know what it is. It's not like we can get away from it. I hope, like I said again, everybody made it through safely. But yeah, we all know what it is and what went into it. I mean, it was the most spent on election ever, $15.9 billion spent in advertising from both sides. So that alone can tell you kind of what we saw from all of the barrage of advertisements that we've gotten over the past 6 months to a year regarding the election. Let me make sure I got my screen up so we're not experiencing the issues we did last time. So anyways, as we know, Donald Trump has been reelected president. So he was obviously the 45th president. He will now be the 47th. As of this morning, he had earned 295 electoral votes. You only need 270 to be elected president. How did this happen? Well, We tune into the smart Steve Kornacki with these khakis at the wall, and he tells us that it was the swing states that swung for Donald Trump, especially the three blue wall states of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Achievement also that he had back in 2016, and the only Republican president to do so since 1988. He also won the popular vote this time around. Finally, he can say that he won the popular vote in his third election. He had 72.6 million votes compared to Vice President Kamala Harris's 67.9. So almost 5 million votes, pretty handily there. So how he did it, I mean, we all know he leaned heavily into the economy, which was obviously the point he stood on the most, but also immigration. So we know those were his two main points that he wanted to drive home in order to win the election, was paint a picture of how he wanted his base to see immigration and the economy now versus how he had it when he was previously in office, whether you agree with that or whether you do not. It really doesn't matter in elections. What really matters is how the politician is able to portray what they did right and negate a little of what they did wrong to their base and to the people that are going to vote for them. And also, Trump's top aides wanted him to make sure that he maxed out men, right? So that's why we saw him on all the bro podcasts. The African American and Latino men both up voting for him in this election. So, depending on what kinds of policies he enacts, especially if there is some sort of mass deportation policy like he says he wants to go through with, some people that voted for him may need to be careful what they wish for. But that may be all of us in life. Anyways, moving on. And to hold on to as many women as possible. And he got a lot more women than anyone thought he was going to get. And just pretty honestly, it was not much of a challenge. Kamala could not shake the past 4 years of being associated, as obviously should, as the vice president, with Joe Biden and some of those policies that brought that administration down in some people's eyes. But that being said, a lot of people are calling this one of the greatest comebacks in presidential history. The first president, only the third president to do this. First was Grover Cleveland, way back in the day, like 200 years ago, or something like that, 150 years ago. Anyways, and then George H.W. So not very many times you can be voted out of office and then voted back in by the same population that had previously voted you out. But he did. So, hey, props to him for doing that. He diverted attention from a lot of the things that happened in the first term of his, including the way he handled COVID, or mishandled COVID, shall I say. January 6th, the insurrection on the Capitol that he ushered in, and a bunch of other things that happened, since then. With our short attention spans these days, we don't really hold on to things that long. So 4 years seems like an eternity. It seems like 10 years. And some people after 4 years just really don't care anymore. Some people will say that's a whole lifetime ago. And in some instances, I may actually agree with you. Yeah, 5 years ago can be a whole lifetime ago for some people. So it is what it is. He won. And he's going to be the president for the next 4 years. We will see what kind of policies he does enact. I am eager to see if he actually can hold through on some of his promises that he promised to his conservative base. The first one being to end the Ukraine and Russia war. He said that he could do it within 24 hours. Now, even if you're watching and you're saying, oh, well, you said that in jest. Okay. He also said he could end it by the inauguration. So I'm going to go with the latter. I'll say he was joking around about the 24 hours because it's not possible for anybody not named Jesus to be able to do something like that. That's a miracle. So he ain't going to be able to do it. But I'll give him to the inauguration. That means that when he gets inaugurated, by that next day, the Ukraine-Russia war should be over. If not, then I want the people that voted for him to start looking at, okay, how much more did he lie to us about the things that he's not going to do? And if he does hold through with the things that he is going to do, like mass deportation, how is that actually going to affect us as a country? If you look at the financials that have been brought up about it, the loss of not only what the immigrants and even the non-legal immigrants give to Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, things like that, all the things that they pay into, but don't get anything out of. The workforce, the jobs that they do that no one else wants to do. This is all money that's going to be lost out of the GDP of the country, billions of dollars. They're saying on top of what it would cost in order for him to actually pull something like that off. So, and again, for the Latin voters out there, if he does do that and he deports some of your family, well, then you need to look back at, okay, well, what were we really voting for? And I'm not saying that needs to be something that is harped on in your instance. It could be whatever you think. I'm just saying these are things that it's going to be looked at from different sides of the coin. But anyways, so hey, it is what it is. Vice President Kamala Harris, she actually came out and gave her a very good concession speech. It was funny because I watched coverage from every single station that night. I was flipping around on the channel, so I had MSNBC with Kornacki. I had to have that. I had both CNN and Fox News. I had Newsmax, and I had a couple of right and left wing channels like Fringe that I wanted to see what they were saying as well. Just to have a good varied opinion of what people were saying on both sides of the aisle, as I always like to do. And so it was just funny to me how they were like, oh, well, it's kind of weird that she didn't come out and concede the night of. And to me, I felt more bad for her, or I felt worse for her supporters who got left overnight and had to come back the next day, rather than I did for Donald Trump, considering A, the race hadn't been over yet, but also B, very rich for the conservative and GOP side to even say that to begin with, considering Donald Trump completely did not show up to the inauguration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So you can't, that doesn't even make any sense whatsoever. You can't even say, oh, well, she didn't concede when he didn't even bother to make a note of it in the first place. So anyways, neither here nor there. Again, things that we are going to want to see change, the economy, right? We're going to want to see, he promised to have the best economy ever. One thing that we talked about with Amul Madan, our political scientist, strategist the other day on Mind of the Professor. If you didn't see that, check it out. It was a great interview. But one thing that we did talk about was the Trump tax cuts that he enacted back in 2017 and what would happen if those were to be made permanent. And so today we've actually seen exactly what we had talked about that would happen is if those were made permanent, it would be a tax cut majority for the majority to be of the wealthy people. And you see that as Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and other billionaires, all of their stocks, all of their wealth went up by billions of dollars just today because he did get elected. Those tax cuts will go to help the rich, not so much for the lesser man or woman who will now be looking up and saying, okay, well, we voted for tax cuts. We thought we were going to get some too. But in reality, the average family, and this comes from one of the government, I don't even remember which one I got it from, so I apologize. It was the tax one. But it said that it was going to be an average tax cut of $1,000 per American family. So, I mean, not a lot. Yeah, it's great. Nice to have anything, I guess. But just not as much as we would want. The other thing is immigration. Obviously, we all want immigration to be legal. Um, in my eyes, personally, I believe that everyone should be allowed to be let into this country as an immigrant. Yes, I do believe there has to be a process, so it's not just all at once. It's not all willy-nilly. But I don't think, aside from maybe having a criminal history, I don't think anything should keep you out, considering every single person that is in this country now is an immigrant. So it's really rich again for the conservative side to be against immigration when every single one of them came through as immigrants into this country. Because if you're not Native American, then you're an immigrant to this country. And that's just a plain fact. But again, I agree that we should have immigration policies that have a procedure that, make it legal for people to come in and be able to establish themselves. I don't like to see people, getting hurt or running across the wall, the border, or risking their lives, or whatever else may happen from that, them coming in and maybe being a criminal and hurting people, which, yes, does happen as well. Obviously, none of those things are things that we want, but at the same time, people deserve to come here. If we're going to portray ourselves as the land of the free, the home of the brave, the leader of the free world, the savior of every country, if we still consider ourselves to be that majority power and we want to be the land of the free, then we have to let people come here to be free. And most people, for the most part, are running away from things that are happening in their own country that can possibly harm them. They're not coming here to make us worse. Anyways, enough about that. We will see what happens there, what he ends up doing with that. I'm really surprised that it wasn't closer than it was, because yes, I called the Donald Trump victory. I said he was going to win on, I've been saying that for months now. But the fact that he came back from 4 years ago, just getting removed from the White House, putting up a fraudulent, lying to his supporters about the stolen election that never happened. And go ahead and do your research. Trump campaign took it to 43 different courts, and all of them were denied for not having enough evidence. So that tells you that right there. But the fact that he had that, then he had all the criminal indictments. He had the 91 felony or the 34 felony charges. Like, wow, the fact that this man came back from all of that and still was elected president just really blows my mind. But it was really solidified once it was that first assassination attempt. I called my mom. I was like, yeah, he's going to be president now after that, for sure. Not even a doubt about it. But yeah, it's just crazy that someone can come back from that much to be the president. And I saw a meme online today I thought was pretty funny. It actually wasn't even a meme. It was, I guess, I don't know his ethnicity. I'm assuming he's Latin or Hispanic of some sorts. But he was, I guess, tweeting towards the president or towards Trump and was like, all right, first time felon president, she is. Now that you were able to get the highest job in the land, how about we take felon, requirements off of job applications? I can't argue with that logic. That logic makes complete sense. If a felon can get the highest job in the land, then we shouldn't be preventing other felons from getting normal jobs, like working at a mechanic shop. But anyways, just thought that was funny, and thought I would throw that in there because I got a good chuckle out of that. But what other things that will happen is we're going to have to see who is put into his cabinet. Obviously, there's been talks of Elon Musk. I doubt he would want to go through the vetting procedure that is required to get a top secret, to get the top secret clearance and everything, and all the other stuff needed for the government portion of things. I'm sure he has his own clearances, but there's going to be a lot more to be involved with all that. Does he really want to do that when he already makes enough money? Doesn't seem like any. I think he would be more of an advisor in my eyes. Is something that may happen. Like Trump may make a board and put certain people on those boards. Could also be an RFK Jr. sort of thing on there, although he said he wants to make him the health, Department of Health. person. So we'll see what happens there, considering he wanted to take fluoride out of the water. I mean, depending on what side you fall on that issue, a lot of people fall on the side that we need it more than the people that are, conspiracy theory about what it's doing to us. So is that someone really you want in charge of the health, or is that another advisor that he needs to have on a board that can just tell him what they want because they're going to do it anyways? Not like they can't just call him and tell him anyways. So again, we'll see what happens with those issues. We'll see if he can follow through on his promises. I really do hope he can. The thing I was mostly worried about was what would happen with this country, because it became so divided once he came along with his rhetoric. It became divided along racial lines, gender lines, and so many other things. I was worried mostly about what might happen in the time being, the aftermath, and still a little bit of hesitation as to what might happen going forward and how emboldened some may feel. But we're here, and he's the president and needs to be supported as such for the next 4 years. So if you're a liberal and you don't like that, I guess you could leave the country. I guess I got a list of remote jobs earlier. I'm not trying to be funny. I really did. And if not, you just ride it out until the next one. And the Democrats, they're in shambles right now. They're going to have to do something. Their best bet is probably going to be to run Kamala out there again, since that's who people are familiar with. But obviously, there are going to be other contenders that want to throw their names in the hat, and so we'll see who actually comes out. But I think she did a good job in the little bit of time that she had to be able to rally as many people as she did, to be honest. Now, I know there's that base of voters anyways that they have that were going to vote Democrat either way, but I mean, I thought it could have been a lot worse. Let's just say that. All right, moving on from that, because we do not want to do any more of that election talk. We are done with it now. Let's move on to some other headlines. First of all, pop culture. The Grammys will be moving from CBS to Disney. So starting in 2027 as part of a 10-year, $500 million deal. Again, the Grammys will be now moving to Disney, ABC, Hulu, and Disney. Not that matters a lot for most, because a lot of people don't even watch the Grammys that much these days, or most of those award programs, award programs these days. So, hey, guess that's just for whoever is still watching it. But I thought that was a cool fact and a lot of money to pay for one show. So anyways, moving on. Other headlines. So we've got some cool headlines I wanted to bring up that are in the news. First of all, new careers on the horizon. If you are a dear grandmother, if you are an older of age lady, there's a grandma stand, which is a small mobile booth in Upper West Side Manhattan, where passerbys can stop and ask for advice from grandmothers. So any grandmothers out there looking for a part-time job, that's awesome. And I kind of want to go get advice. I really want to go get advice, actually. Also, if you live in Hawaii and are not afraid of beetles, they are looking for beetle wranglers. And I say that in jest. Please don't go out there looking for beetles. But they are scrambling to stop an invasive coconut rhinoceros beetle from taking over the coconut trees and the soil. And so I actually want to show the picture of this. So let me, I want to show the picture of this. There we go. Oops, hold on. There it is. Nope, that's not it. Hold on one second. Let me get the picture, because I got the picture of the beetle. I want to show y'all what it looks like, because it looks pretty. Hold on. Where are you? Oh, there it is. There you go. Nope. All right. Never mind. It doesn't want to come up for some reason. The browser is blocking it. Anyways, look it up. It's a coconut rhinoceros beetle, but it is very invasive to the Hawaiian coconut tree and to the soil, so they are trying to get rid of that. And I assume if that didn't work, which it was working earlier, so I don't know why it's blocking it now because I tested it earlier, that means my video is not going to work. I had gone and got a video of Periwinkle, the penguin. If you haven't heard this story, it is a 5-month-old penguin at the Washington State Zoo. Is recovering from 2 surgeries from torn ligaments in its right leg. I feel you, Periwinkle. I know I tore my ACL. I tore my MCL in my right knee. I've had multiple surgeries on my right knee as well, Periwinkle. So I feel you, my dude. He has to wear a little special penguin-sized boot. He has it's a penguin-sized boot. And he has like the little hobble that I was walking with when I was on a boot, as I remember, a boot, like in Canada, as I remember. Oh, but he can still swim. The penguin can still swim with the boot on, and I wish that I could show you. Hold on. There's got to be a way to get past this browser. I'm going to try to see if I can get past this browser real quick and show you the video that I want to show you. So anyways, while I'm bringing this up, the last piece of news is, and if you didn't see this one, there was an orca at SeaWorld. And I'm not going to show this one. You can go look it up yourselves. But so the orca, and this is, I'm not like a save the whale type of person, but this is what you get: A, for keeping whales in captivity, and B, for going to SeaWorld to watching whales in captivity. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go. I like SeaWorld. I want to go. But I'm just saying, if you go, you may get shit on. You may get defecated on. And that's what happened to these poor people who were sitting next to the cage as the orca was coming through. A brown cloud fills up the pool, and then the thing swims around, dekes him out. It's hilarious because he's like, oh, I'm not going to mess with y'all. It swims away. Everybody thinks everything's calm. I wish I could show you the video, but I don't want to get in trouble for showing anything like disgusting or whatever. But you can see it on YouTube and other places, like news sites. But anyways, he comes back around and he splashes his tail and flips all of the water all over the patrons. Oh my goodness, it was horrible. It was disgusting. If you go look it up, it was pretty gross actually. But anyways, I got the Periwinkle video for you, so check this out. This is Periwinkle, the penguin, and so as you can see, I told you he tore 2 ligaments in his knee. So look, they did the surgery. Look at the little penguin boot. Look at the little penguin, but he can still swim. He can still, look at him go. With the penguin boot on, son, I was barely walking with my boot on. My man can swim it. Look at him shaking his little tail feather. Shake your tail feather. Shake your tail feather. Yeah, my man getting it with the little boot on. Oh, look at the little penguin boot. Look, you try to get out of it too. Like Boozer when he used to have his, my English bulldog, when he used to have his, the cone on his head, the cone of resistance. Anyways, I had to show you all that. That was pretty good. I laughed pretty heartily at that. And then moving into a couple other things. The fail of the week goes out to the infinite monkey theorem. Now, this infinite monkey theorem, it is a classic hypothetical, it's a theory about probability and infinity. And so 2 Australian mathematicians have come along and say that this theory is incorrect. So what is the theory? Well, the theory states that a monkey or a primate randomly hitting typewriter keys forever would be able to reproduce the full William Shakespeare catalog at some point. Now, obviously, that's not possible for one monkey. I'm sorry. I don't know what kind of monkey. Now, we're talking Planet of the Apes, like they can speak English, then yes. But a monkey just randomly hitting keys, now if you told me it was 50 monkeys, maybe. But one monkey randomly just hitting keys is going to type out the whole works of Shakespeare. I mean, if the letters don't have to be in order, sure. But that doesn't jive with me. And so, yeah, I get why that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The researchers say that even if it was all the monkeys on Earth, they wouldn't even be able to do it before the world ended, which is in a Google years, which, by the way, fun fact, if you didn't know what a Google was, a Google years, which is Googol, not Google like the Google website, but Google, Googol, Google, is years is 1 followed by 100 zeros. So that many years. That's how long, that's how long until the world ends, apparently, and they still wouldn't. Now, they do say in one monkey's lifetime that there's an estimated 5% chance, that it would type out the word bananas, and a 1 in 10 million billion shot, it would spit out a proper sentence. Again, I don't think it would do a proper sentence unless it was a very short sentence. But the other one, I disagree with that. The bananas? No. 5%? Come on now. I'm looking at my keyboard now. B, A, N, and S. They're all right next to each other. Dude, all the monkey would have to do is go like this and probably spell out bananas a whole bunch of times. So I don't want to hear that. I'd say they probably do it I'd say it's estimated 1 out of 4 monkeys could do it in their lifetime, if not more. Hey, I don't know about that one. The other two I agree with, but that I don't know if I agree with that. The win of the week goes to animals who like to booze. There's the animal kingdom be out there drinking heavily, y'all. They like us. You know what I mean? We're not the only ones. So it comes to find out that a broad range of species consume ethanol and seek out higher ethanol, food that has higher ethanol percentages in it, such as like overripe fruit, which makes sense, right? So according to a new study, chimpanzees in Guinea eat alcoholic sap. Spider monkeys in Panama like yellow mambin fruit, which has it has a 1 to 2.5% alcohol by volume for the fruit. That's crazy. And a type of bird, in Brazil, flies into fences. Flies into fences. Why would it fly into feces? I don't know. But the birds, they fly into fences after eating these fermented berries because they get drunk. And how much more similar can we get with this than this flying insects? Male fruit flies, after being rejected by the female, or I guess it could be another, whatever. After getting rejected, right, they were observed to eat more food with ethanol inside it. So after they were rejected, the male fruit flies wanted to get drunk, pretty much is what we're seeing there. So that is pretty crazy and pretty funny. I came across that and figured y'all would like that. A little bit of news there. So anyways, all right, let's finish this off with a little bit of sports headlines before we go ahead and get on out of here. First of all, men's college basketball and women's college basketball is back. And before we jump out of there, one thing I do want to note that I read in some of my notes earlier is that now that Donald Trump has been elected president, that does not actually bode well for the NCAA athlete. And so you may say, why? Well, the Republicans or conservative side in the Congress have been the ones that have been trying to keep amateurism or the student athlete in place and trying to keep out the NIL or the name, image, likeness. So now that Trump has been elected, it is possible that, and especially if the Republicans capture both the House and the Senate, which they are on track to do. Now, there are still some seats in battleground states available and up for grabs, that we may see the Democrats still keep the Senate, but we're not sure yet. But that may hinder the NIL laws and keep the NCAA in the power of achieving their goal of keeping amateurism in place. So I thought that was a kind of a little bit of a note that was sports related, tied to the election, that actually could come into play as we're seeing those lawsuits play out in court right now. So before we keep going on, let's go ahead and talk about the rankings real quick. So men's college basketball, this comes directly from the AP. This is the AP Top 25. They've got Kansas number 1. Kansas, obviously, powerhouse Kansas year after year. Alabama up there at number 2. UConn, two-time national champions, going for 3. UConn Huskies there at number 3. The Houston Cougars at number 4. Been there in their last few years, but have not been able to get over that hump in the tournament. Can this be the year they do it? And then finally, Iowa State there rounds out your men's top 5. How about our women? On our women's side, top 5, obviously, South Carolina, right? They've been number 1 for a while now. Until someone, as Ric Flair used to say all the time, to be the man, woo, you gotta beat the man. So until South Carolina gets beat, they were still number 1 in the women's side of things. You got UConn there at number 2. Paige Becker's probably going to be, her and Juju Watson, the 2 main focal points as in terms of best women players. So her and Aziz Fudd out there. Then you got as well the FUSC Trojans and Juju Watkins. Juju, she's a beast. It's not why I side. I like Juju. You just know how much I hate USC. F the Trojans, condoms. Anyways, number 4, ranked right ahead of my UCLA Bruins, though. A clap. Let's go, Bruins. Bruins, they're there. We got Lauren Betts, the top center in the country. Kiki Rice, she's hurt right now, point guard out of DC, out of the DMV. We got 2 other players out of the DMV. So I like my team going back to my hometown and picking up players and bringing them out to the sunshine and the west coast of California. Anyways, so that's going to be a tough battle between USC and UCLA there in the Big Ten now, not the Pac-6 is what they're up to now. And then finally, the Texas Longhorns round out the women's top 5 there on the women's side of things. So again, college basketball up to a full and rushing start. As well, we got the NBA and the NHL and college football still rolling along. The NBA and NHL in their first month, and we cannot deny that the number 1 team now is not my Celtics, but you've got to look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, undefeated at 9-0. They are number 1 on the power rankings. And then the Oklahoma City Thunder as well. They're at the top in number 2. The Boston Celtics come in at number 3, having won. They're at number 4. Golden State is at number 3 because Golden State beat the Celtics last night. I accidentally missed that on my list. Golden State is at number 3 with 1 loss. The Celtics are at number 4 with 2 losses. And then finally, you round that out with the Phoenix Suns. Yes. The super team can still get it done. The Phoenix Suns round out the top 5 there in the NBA. And then finally, in college football, they released the first 12-team playoff rankings. So remember, it used to be where we would have the rankings and then we would have just the top teams compete in a couple of playoff games to determine the winner. Well, now it has been expanded to a 12-team playoff, which has not only created chaos within the rankings, but has allowed us to have a lot more fun play, I guess you could say. Coaches are allowed to take more chances. Players are allowed to play a lot more free and looser because you don't have to be undefeated or one loss anymore. Now you can have two losses and still get into the playoffs, which is what we're seeing this weekend with our first CFP elimination game. Number 11 Alabama plays number 15. I need some water. Number 15 LSU in Baton Rouge. 3 losses, probably not going to cut it. Probably no one going to get in with 3 losses. So whoever loses this game, that's why I'm saying it is a huge, huge game, because of that fact that you never know if how many games other teams are going to lose, right? So you got to make sure that you take care of business. Now, Oregon, first time ever in their history, ranked number 1 in the CFP. So they take number 1. Ohio State, which had a good showing over Penn State going into, Penn State and taking the victory from them. Georgia at number 3. Obviously, we have powerhouse Georgia at number 3 there. And then Miami in the ACC, rounding out the top 4 there of your top 12. Remember, this is going to change over time. A lot more games to go. A lot more teams going to lose. A lot more group of 5 teams going to emerge. And also remember, one quirk to this is that the top 4 teams are going to be the top 4 ranked teams from conference champions. So someone like a BYU could sneak into the playoffs as a 4 seed and really kind of make things screwy there in the middle of the playoffs, because if for some reason they get into the top 4, they may be able to do something like, if BYU is overcome by Boise State, let's say, then maybe Boise State steals the bye from Big 12. So you could see all kinds of things happening in that scenario. And then finally, let's look at our NHL power rankings, our hockey power rankings for the week. Obviously, we can't get away from the fact that there is one team that has been consistently beating other teams this year and really putting their stamp on the season to be the favorites. Now, obviously, it's a long season. Hockey is very dependent on injuries, dependent on the ebbs and the flows of the season. Coaching changes happen so regularly. But right now, the Winnipeg Jets are the class of the NHL. They only have 1 loss in regulation through their first 12 games and have put up, listen to this, a ridiculous 28, a positive 28 goal differential. Wow. Obviously, again, ebbs and flows. Probably not going to hold up the whole year, but they are definitely going to be in the playoffs, right? It would have to be some sort of massive collapse at this point to not make the playoffs. So watch out for them. Number 2, the Florida Panthers. They are obviously your defending Stanley Cup champions after beating the Oilers last year in the Stanley Cup. So they are at number 2. Number 3, the New York Rangers, again in the hunt to be a dominating club. Number 4, the Minnesota Wild. Number 5, the Carolina Hurricanes. And then finally, just because they're my team and they're ranked at number 6, I'm going to mention them. Shout out to my Los Angeles Kings. They are doing an awesome, awesome job this year. Much better than we ended last year after we got dusted by the Oilers in the first round. And we've been dusted by the Oilers the past few years in the first round. And then they went on to the championship. So we're hoping that, we're going to be able to get over the hump this year. So they say. And then finally, the last but not least, maybe if I could talk. Last but not least, before we get you out of here, we got to make sure that we look at the NFL. First of all, the NFL had their trade deadline this week. The 3 biggest trades of the trade deadline. The Detroit Lions went out and traded to the Browns for defensive end Zadarius Smith. This comes on the heels of when Aiden Hutchinson, their star defensive end, got injured a few weeks ago. Now, if for some reason the Lions, not if for some reason, they have a very good chance. If the Lions were to make the Super Bowl, there is a possibility that Aiden Hutchinson could actually be back to play. Wow, how amazing of a story would that be? And then comes back to pair up with Zadarius Smith, Pretty cool. Then number 2, another great move, the DC Commanders. Yes, shout out to Shane Peacher and the rest of the DMV there in my hometown area. They traded for cornerback Marshawn Lattimore. Now, Marshawn Lattimore has not been healthy these past few years, but he is still a very impactful cornerback, and that's exactly what the DC Commanders needed. And then the third, probably most impactful move, another weapon for Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh, as the Steelers traded for Mike Williams from the Jets, who lost targets after the Jets traded for Devontae Adams from my Raiders just a few weeks ago. Which, by the way, hasn't helped them at all. They're still 3-6, still probably not going to make the playoffs. Fired their coach for no reason. I know the Raiders are a dumpster fire, but the Jets ain't no better. So, and I don't know why I just took unnecessary shots at the Jets, but I did. And if my old teaching assistant JB was watching, I would tell him to take that. Not like Diddy though. Not the Diddy take that. Take that. Not like that though. All right, let's get to those power rankings. The only undefeated team left. Misery just haunts me every day. My most hated Kansas City Chiefs. Jeez Louise. Detroit Lions follow that up at number 2. Number 3 is your Buffalo Bills. Number 4, Baltimore Ravens, who play tonight, by the way. And then number 5, those aforementioned, who we just talked about, Washington Commanders round out the top 5. So that's your NFL power rankings for the week. Again, tonight we do have a game about to start here in 25 minutes. So let me give you my take on that. Baltimore is favored by 6 points at home. It is a divisional game, as you all know who watched me on the Bottom Line Sports. Shout out to Bottom Line Sports every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you check us out. Join the Facebook group at The Bottom Line Sports. Anyways, on there, you'll know when I talk about division games, I usually talk about how, unless you know two teams are that far apart, it's usually going to be a closer game. So I like to keep my division games below 7 points and usually more around the 3-point margin. You've got the Ravens at home again. They're rolling. I know that they just lost, and you're going to say, well, they just lost. How are they rolling? But, man, they've just been playing so well this year. Lamar Jackson, I know people like to hate on him and don't want him to win another MVP, but the statistics are there. He's leading in a majority of passing statistics. But Joe Cool is coming on. Joey B and the Bengals still have a chance. Yes, they'll probably have to go 6-2 the rest of the way to win out. Not to win out, but to make the playoffs as a wild card. It is possible, but that is a very tough AFC North division. I am going to take, I said the other day on the Bottom Line that this is a game that the Ravens would lose, like the Bengals come into town and win this game. I'm actually going to change that pick. I think the Ravens hold off and win this game, and I'm going to go 24-20 Ravens. All right, cool. And also make sure that you are subscribed at Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS. Please make sure you are subscribed to stay updated with all the videos I'll be dropping on YouTube. Make sure on Instagram you follow us. I post all the pictures and the videos as well when we go live are on there. Make sure you subscribe to follow us next week. We will have Clubber D's Combat Sports Special next Wednesday night. So make sure, again, you're subscribed to Ball and Buds to catch us there to go over UFC and also a couple other fights, the John Jones Aspinall fight and a couple of other fights as well. Don't forget, I am doing these now weekly. This is the Professor Semanalmente. So I will be back on with this one again next Thursday, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Also, again, I already mentioned the bottom line. And yeah, that's it. Happy Veterans Day. This Monday, I'm actually going out of town. I'm going to Dallas this weekend to go watch the Cowboys and Eagles play. Me and Hot Take Jake going to hang out for a little bit, so that'll be a good time. Me and my pops going out there. So it's going to be a good time. We're going to catch the game and enjoy ourselves out in Dallas for the weekend. Shout out my boy DJ Danny West if he's watching right now. Go hook up with my dude and see what's good. Hang out with him for a little bit, see what he's got popping in Dallas. Check out some mamacitas. Papadana. That's for you other ones. Anyways, Blade sound up. What was the last thing I had to say? Oh yeah, happy Veterans Day if you're here in Nashville. We will have the Veterans Day parade here downtown. I will be back. We will have a salute to service concert that night on the Sky Deck at 5th and Broadway. So if you want to come out and hang out with the veterans and have a nice salute to service on Veterans Day, make sure you come out to the Sky Deck, 5th and Broadway, downtown Nashville. That being said, hey, that's it for today. Much love. Again, we got through it, y'all. We got through the election. We got through the season. Now let's, instead of being divided, let's bring each other together. Let's unite each other. Let's try to love each other more, help each other more, and all that good stuff. And on that note, again, make sure you're subscribed at Ballin' Buds, BALLANDBUDS. If you're in Dallas this weekend, make sure you check me out. If not, make sure you check me out Monday, downtown Nashville. Ballin' Buds. I am Omar, the professor, sports professor, street professor, the professor, Fonseca at Ballin' Buds. Holla. 5,000. I forgot to set my outro video. I'm not ready yet. Here we go. Damn it.
He's with the millions.
It's that world heavyweight flow. Championship belt wrapped around my waist, yo. I got that Ric Flair figure flow. Slam you on the pavement, that's why they call me street pro. Create heat on beat flow. Like Jordan after the second time he three-peated, folks. Get ready, set, let's go. Fight toe to toe, release the flow created by this mic pro. Lights, camera, get low. Action packed, back to back, in fact this monster will grow. Y'all better let them know. Man with the master plan and you have no need to know. You came prepared, now get ready for the show.